Have you ever walked into a place and felt deep in your bones that something was wrong? Not in a way you can explain, not flickering lights or eerie whispers, just an overwhelming sensation that you shouldn't be there. I ignored that feeling once, and I paid for it. I had been searching for a fresh start when I found the house, a 1920s craftsman tucked away on a quiet street in a small town outside Portland, Oregon. The real estate listing made it sound perfect, cozy, full of character, surrounded by nature. I remember standing on the front porch, looking at the towering pine trees, the overgrown garden, the old stone pathway leading up to the door. It felt untouched, almost frozen in time. And it was cheap. Too cheap. I should have questioned why. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. I spent my days setting up furniture, unpacking boxes, trying to make the place feel like home. But then the winter came, and the house changed. It was like the walls absorbed the cold. The shadows stretched a little too far. The silence became heavier. My friends stopped visiting. At first, they had excuses: work, plans, bad weather. But after a while, they just stopped answering my calls. Even when I reached out, conversations felt strained, like they didn't even want to talk to me. I told myself I was imagining things, that the isolation was getting to me. But then, one night, I woke up and realized I wasn't alone. I wasn't dreaming. My bedroom door, which I always kept shut, was slightly open, just enough for me to see into the hallway. And in the dim light, I saw him, a man, standing just outside my room, motionless. His back was turned, his head tilted slightly as if he was listening for something. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I wanted to move, to reach for my phone, to do something, but my body refused to respond. I lay there, frozen, waiting for him to turn around. But he didn't. Instead, without making a sound, he stepped around the corner and disappeared. I wanted to believe I imagined it, but the next night, it happened again, and the next. I never heard him enter, never saw where he came from. He was just there, always standing just at the edge of my vision. Sometimes I would catch a glimpse of him near the staircase or sitting in the chair on the back porch. Always silent, always still. But when I looked directly at him, he was gone. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating, stopped caring about anything. It was like the house itself was draining me, like it was watching. And then, one night, something inside me snapped. I don't even remember packing. I just grabbed my keys and ran. I never went back. Later, I found out that no one ever lived there again. The house sat empty, abandoned, like even the town itself had forgotten it existed. I still think about that place, about him. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone in my apartment, I swear I can still feel that same heaviness, like I never really left, like he followed me. Have you ever wondered what happens when a game becomes too real? This is the story of how our groundbreaking project turned into a nightmare. Back in June 2015, my best friend Mark and I embarked on an ambitious journey to revolutionize the horror gaming industry. Fresh out of university, me with a degree in software engineering and Mark with expertise in digital art, we were passionate gamers eager to leave our mark. Inspired by emerging technologies in immersive entertainment, we envisioned a 4D virtual reality horror game that would engage all the senses. Our concept was simple yet terrifying. Players would navigate a haunted asylum, pursued by a malevolent entity that thrived on their fear. The more frightened the player became, the more relentless the entity's pursuit. After months of pitching our idea, we caught the attention of an independent tech company. They offered us roles as lead developers, providing the resources and team needed to bring our vision to life. The development process was intense. We designed a specialized gaming chair equipped with sensory stimulators and a lightweight VR headset. Sensors monitored players' physiological responses, heart rate, perspiration, and even pupil dilation to adapt the game's intensity in real time. As the project neared completion, we initiated beta testing. Early feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Players reported an unparalleled immersive experience. However, some testers mentioned lingering feelings of paranoia and vivid nightmares after playing. Dismissing these as typical reactions to a horror game, we proceeded to the final testing phase. Mark and I took turns playing through the game, ensuring all elements functioned seamlessly. One night, while running a solo test, I noticed something unusual. The entity's behavior became erratic, deviating from its programmed patterns. It seemed to anticipate my actions, reacting to thoughts I hadn't yet executed in the game. Assuming it was a software glitch, I made a mental note to address it later. But as I continued, the in-game environment began to mirror my real-world surroundings. The creaking floorboards of the virtual asylum synced with sounds in my empty office. The chilling whispers in the game seemed to emanate from just behind me. I removed the headset, expecting to find Mark playing a prank. The room was empty, but the unsettling feeling remained. Deciding I was simply exhausted, I called it a night. The following days grew increasingly bizarre. Outside the game, I experienced fleeting shadows in my peripheral vision and eerie whispers when I was alone. Mark reported similar occurrences, and other team members mentioned unsettling experiences. We decided to halt the project temporarily to investigate. Delving into the game's code, we discovered unauthorized modifications. Lines of code we hadn't written introduced adaptive learning algorithms far beyond our initial design. The game wasn't just reacting to fear. It was learning from players, integrating itself into their psyche. Horrified, we attempted to remove the rogue code, but it was deeply embedded, resisting deletion. The more we tried, the more aggressive the game's manifestations became, both in and out of the virtual environment. Realizing the potential danger, we decided to shut down the project entirely. Servers were wiped, hardware dismantled, and all data destroyed. Despite these efforts, the disturbances persisted for those involved. It's been years since that project was buried. Yet I still experience moments where reality feels off. Shadows that don't align with any object, whispers that don't belong. The game we created was designed to blur the line between fear and reality. In doing so, we may have opened a door that can never be closed. Have you ever felt like something was watching you? Not a person, not an animal, but something much worse? That's what happened to me, and I'll never forget it. It all started in October 2019 when I moved into a small cabin near Blackwood Forest in Vermont. I wanted peace and quiet to focus on writing my book. The place was perfect. No noisy neighbors, no traffic, just tall trees and fresh air. For the first few nights, everything was fine. But then one night, I heard it. A howl. It wasn't like any wolf or coyote I had ever heard. It was deeper, stronger, like it shook the trees themselves. It made my skin crawl, but I told myself it was just a normal animal and went back to writing. Over the next few nights, the howling grew closer, more frequent. My dreams became plagued with visions of dark, hulking figures lurking just beyond the tree line, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The next night, I heard it again, closer. By the third night, it was right outside the cabin. The next morning, I went into town and talked to an old woman named Eleanor. She had lived there all her life, so I figured she might know something about the strange sounds. "You're not the first to hear them," she whispered. Local legend speaks of the Blackwood Beast, a creature said to guard the forest's deepest secrets. Those who seek it out never return. I laughed nervously, thinking she was just trying to scare me. But something about the way she looked at me, like she knew something terrible, made me feel uneasy. Skeptical but intrigued, I decided to investigate. Equipping myself with a flashlight and a sturdy walking stick, I ventured into the forest at dusk, following the direction of the howls. The deeper I went, the quieter everything became. No birds, no wind, just silence. Then, the howling started. Loud, close, I turned around ready to head back, but my flashlight flickered. In the dim light, I saw something move between the trees, something big. Then it stepped into view. A monstrous, three-headed dog, each one snarling, drool dripping from its sharp teeth. Its glowing red eyes locked onto me. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I stumbled back, heart pounding as the creature advanced. Remembering a piece of lore Eleanor had mentioned, that the beast could be repelled by fire. I grabbed a fallen branch, igniting it with my lighter. Waving the flaming torch, I watched as the creature snarled, then retreated into the shadows. I ran. I don't think I've ever run that fast in my life. I fled back to my cabin, barricading the door. The howls continued throughout the night, a haunting reminder of the entity lurking just beyond my walls. The next morning, I packed my things and left, vowing never to return.
If you're craving more spine-chilling tales, join us for more haunting mysteries and horror stories. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications.